This series is just so addictive. I think it's the best word to describe it. Hello besties, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing great, and today I want to talk to you about 5-star book predictions that I have on my mind of books that I plan to read, of course, this year, but I have high hopes, extra high hopes for. I'm not going to mention CC3, Crescent City Book 3, House of Flame and Shadow, because it is the obvious choice. I mean, of course, I expect that book to exceed even my expectations, and I hope it delivers. I'm 100% sure that it will deliver. So let me discuss my other books that I predict that they will be 5 stars. And not all of these are new releases. Some of them are already out, but I just didn't read them yet. So yeah, with that being said, let's start with book number 1, City of Ruin by Charissa Weaks. It is the second book in the Witch Walker series, the first book being The Witch Collector. I talked about this book a lot previously. It's an adult fantasy romance, and I only read the first book, and I need to continue on with the series because I loved the first book so much. But people who read the rest of them said, wait until you read the second book, because it got compared a lot to the feeling, not the plot, not anything, but the feeling that you get once you read A Court of Mist and Fury in the ACOTAR series, because everything shifts with that book and expands in an explosive way when you feel like the first book didn't even scratch the surface of the real story, and you feel like, okay, now the story has really begun and taken off. And that's why I predict this is going to be one of my 5-star reads of this year, and I cannot wait to read the second book. Next up is Ruthless Vows, the sequel to, where is it? Divine Rivals. I didn't read any reviews about Ruthless Vows yet, because as I usually say, I want to be surprised and I want to get all the feelings from the book itself and not from what other people wrote about it. But because I read Divine Rivals and that romance was epic, the couple was so pure and so wholesome, and I really wish for them to get their happy ending. And like, this book in itself had some soul-touching quotes, and if Rebecca Ross continues delivering the same captivating writing as in Divine Rivals, I believe Ruthless Vows is going to be an epic read too, and it is going to be a 5 stars for sure. So yeah, the second book is Ruthless Vows, and the next book is the sequel to the Magnolia Parks universe, where I have them there. The next book is releasing soon, Magnolia Parks Into the Dark, and it follows after the events that happened in that explosive ending of Magnolia Parks The Long Way Home, and I can't describe to you how much I need to know what happens after those events. This series is just so addictive. I think it's the best word to describe it. It's just so addictive and binge-worthy. It's extremely addictive. The series as a whole is a 5 stars for me. I talked about it before, and I think the 5th book is no exception, and I'm so anticipating this release. The next book that I think is going to be a 5-star read for me is the newest release by Kerri Maniscalco, Throne of the Fallen. I think that I have already expressed my love for the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy and the world, and oh my god, the romance in those books. I adored Wrath and Emilia. They are one of the hottest, best couples with undeniable chemistry. The whole world building based on the 7 deadly sins with the respective households and princes was so satisfying and intriguing, and the atmosphere mysterious and dark. It was epic. It was phenomenal. So I am definitely not expecting less from this book, since it follows Prince Envy in his own story, and I really wish we get to cross paths with Emilia and Wrath in this book too. It will be just the cherry on top. This is going to be a 5 stars for sure. I hope so. The next book that I want to mention is The Prisoner's Throne. It's the sequel to The Stolen Heir. I have it here. This book takes place 8 years after the events of Queen of Nothing, the third book in the Folk of the Air trilogy. In the north, Lady Nor of the Court of Teeth has reclaimed the Ice Needle Citadel and is using an ancient relic to create monsters of stick and snow who will do her bidding and help her take her revenge. Surin, her daughter, has fled to the human world after all the terrible torments she endured in the Court of Teeth, and she spends her days releasing mortals from their foolish bargains with the folk heir, and she lives in hiding until the storm hag Bogdana finds her and chases her. And she gets saved by none other than Prince Oak, Jude's little brother, who is not little anymore. He is now a charming and beautiful 17-year-old and very, very smart. When they were kids, Surin was once promised to him in marriage and she resented that for years. And they were also true friends who used to play together and have fun. Now Oak is on a mission that will lead him into the north and he needs Surin's help. This is a quest storyline, so they are constantly traveling throughout the book. This was a bit slow for my taste, but I believe that it was setting up for a lot of things and it was a huge development between how it began and how it ended. The plot took an unexpected, compelling turn towards the end of the book, and I strongly believe that the sequel and finale will be mind-blowing, and I really hope we get to see Jude and Carden in the next book to The Prisoner's Throne. So yeah, I believe that the sequel to this one will be a huge 5 stars, and if you didn't read this yet, you cannot read it without reading the Folk of the Air trilogy first. The next book is the third book in the Shadows of the Tenebris Court. This is the first book, A Kiss of Iron. The third book is coming out, A Promise of Lies. And in this book we follow Kat. She's a noble woman. She's estranged from her husband. He was horrible to her and she didn't hear from him in years, and now she lives by herself with 2 servants trying to keep her husband's estate afloat, and for that she has been forced into a life of thievery on her saber cat's back. Yes, she rides a saber cat named Vespera and I loved her so much, so she can pay her husband debts and survive. Until one night in the forest, she makes the mistake of stealing something from someone who turns out to be Fae. Shortly after that happened, she gets summoned to the castle to be the queen's lady-in-waiting, but she also gets an offer she couldn't refuse. It is to spy on our dear Bastion, aka the Night Queen's shadow, and the court play begins and things start to get very interesting from there. The slow burn and the tension and the chemistry and the immersive world building that Claire Sager built got this series a place in my top 2023 reads. So if you didn't watch that video, I highly recommend you check it out. You will find top book recommendations that I think are worth your time. And this series is one of them, and you can hear me rave about this series more. So I think A Promise of Lies could definitely be a potential 5-star read this year. The next book is a book that I'm definitely going to read this year, and this has the potential to be a 5-star read. It is Empire of the Vampire by J. Kristoff. This is a post-apocalyptic story, very dark and very unique. And from what I've gathered, not for the faint of heart. This book is about what happens if vampires took over the world. People who read it said that it was very well paced and full with action and extremely immersive and ends on a terrible cliffhanger. And that's why I was postponing reading this book until we are closer to the release date of the second book. And the time has finally come. And I really think this has the potential to exceed my expectations and be a 5 or 6-star read. So yeah, Empire of the Vampire for sure. Next up is a book that I received recently in a book subscription box page in Wik. Sword of Kaigen. I keep hearing that this is a must read and I am going to read it this year 100%. This is one of the best standalones, according to the people who read it, fantasy books ever written. This world building gets compared a lot to Avatar, but in a more mature, way with nuanced, hard-hitting family dynamic tropes. And I love that this book is based on the relationship of a son and his mother. And I heard that it is perfect for people who enjoy a lot of heart and action in their fantasy. So I predict that this is going to be an outstanding 5-star read for me this year, and also a big discovery. And I will probably regret not reading this sooner. My next 5-star prediction is a sequel to These Infinite Threads by Tahereh Mafi. This is book 2 in this woven kingdom. It is one of the most beautiful, uniquely written books I have ever read. I talked about this book a lot on my 2023 best books of the year. Her writing gives me all the feels. It makes me giggle and cry and smile, and the tension, oh my god, the tension is a chef's kiss. This was masterfully told, and it was so swoon-worthy, and I'm 100% sure that the sequel that is called All This Twisted Glory will be a 5-star read for me, and I'm happy that's not going to be the finale. We are going to get more books. I don't know if it's going to be a 5-book series or a 6-book series, but I'm happy to keep living in this world. So yeah, the sequel to this is definitely going to be a 5 stars. This was a 5 stars, and This Woven Kingdom was a 5 stars. So I think there is a theme there with Tahereh Mafi's books. And next up, I need to mention this book, Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. I didn't read them yet. I'm planning to read this book in 2024, and I think this has the potential. From the synopsis that I've read, I think this could be a 5-star read for me. I hope it's well paced. I hope that there is enough action to keep me invested in the book, and like the characters are interesting, but I have big faith in Cassandra Clare's writing. So yeah, I think this also have the potential to be a 5-star read. And yeah, that was it for me today, book besties. If you made it this far, leave me the red rose emoji and tell me if you have books that you think are going to be 5 stars this year. And if you like the video, please subscribe so we can become book besties, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!